Hold up. Why do they doubt the kid? I'm about to prove them all wrong again. I got a low tolerance, cause they don't even know what the problem is. It's me. You waiting on the boy to fail, then hold your breath and face your death. Cause you play a roulette with each step. I progress, no less. Go ahead and place your bet.
Welcome back, y'all. This is the Double M Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Jesus Dinero, here with my co-host,
Puma El Gato.
What do we got going on tonight, my man?
Conor Benn leaves Matchroom for an 8-figure one-fight deal with Zuffa Boxing. Let's talk about it.
Are we all not Eddie Hearn, y'all? Have we all not had a friend that we thought was just our friend through and through, and then something happened and they just go behind our back and do some shady shit? Now, I know this is the boxing game. At the end of the day, nobody has any friends. Plenty of boxers that say it. I kind of agree to it, if I'm being honest with you. So I get it. At the end of the day, Conor Benn has a family to take care of. He's got people looking up to him, people that need him to make sure that he does the things that he needs to do. And I get it. That being said, maybe it's just the type of person that I am. But if I stuck with you when you were at your worst, your lowest, your most down bad point, and I stuck with you, defended you, stood up to you against all the people to the point where my own reputation started taking a hit because of it, big dog, you owe me. You owe me. At the very, very least, you owe me a phone call. Which Eddie Hearn said he tried to get on the phone with Conor Benn. Conor Benn said no. I'll be honest with you. Again, maybe I'm just speaking from a little bit of saltiness myself. Having gone through this, unfortunately, multiple times with friends that I thought were there, that had my back, so on and so forth. I do believe Conor Benn owes Eddie Hearn a certain amount of respect and a certain amount of loyalty. That's just me, fam. And listen, maybe some of you will say, hey, man, it's all about your paper. Get that bag, blah, 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 blah. I get it. Again, he's a family man. He's got people to feed. Understood. But big dog, when you didn't have paper, I was there. When people were running your name through the mud, I was there. When people were saying, why are you sticking next to this guy that's a cheater, a scumbag, a loser, a blah, 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 Eddie Hearn went to bat for you, my brother. So at the very, very, very least, you owe him the respect to go and say, hey, Eddie, look, I got to be honest with you, big bro. They're offering me $15 million for one fight. What can you do for me? Work with me, my brother. Conor Benn didn't do that. So I feel, if I'm being honest with you, I feel Conor Benn's in the wrong here. I'll be honest with you. I'm still not the biggest Conor Benn fan. So maybe I'm also a little biased on that, even though I don't think I'm being biased. Especially because a lot of y'all seem to agree with the fact that Conor Benn owes Eddie Hearn. Because again, when Conor Benn was down, Eddie Hearn stood up for him, stood by him, lent him money, made sure he was taken care of, even though when he didn't have it, he had it. So maybe it's just me being a little biased, but I think out of just a pure level of respect, you need to take care of your people. And if they took care of you, you need to take care of them. I always tell people this, in my own personal experience, I took care of a lot of people on the street, and I'll be honest with you, I don't expect the money back, but I do expect the loyalty. So that's just my personal opinion on it. I think the way that these guys are going about it, I think it's a little sad. You know, Eddie Hearn in an interview said, I didn't feel the need to sign Conor Benn to a contract because I didn't want to push it, but I just never thought something like this would happen. I've been there for Conor Benn. So Eddie Hearn said, maybe that's my fault. Maybe I just didn't learn my lesson. But that being said, I get it. We're just two different people. And that's a lot of times what I think kills people like Eddie Hearn, unfortunately. You have a certain level of trust that you believe you have with your partners. And unfortunately, if your partners don't have the same level of integrity that you do, it comes back to bite you. But listen, that's just my opinion. I know a lot of y'all feel the same. I'm sure some people probably disagree with that, and they'll tell everyone, get your bag. What do you think about that, my man?
I remember when I first heard the headline about Conor Benn leaving Matchroom, and especially the amount that Conor Benn left for a one-fight deal. And even that in and of itself, I looked at it and I'm like, that can't be right. One fight, $15 million for one fight? That sounds insane. And I started thinking about that, really analyzing it, looking into the details of it. For one, okay, fine. Conor Benn leaving for 8 figures, I'm like, I'm not going to lie. A lot of people would say, okay, well, you'd be kind of dumb to just leave that on the table. That's an easy $50 million. And you don't even have to fight anybody. The fight's not even the mouths. It's just one fight deal. Who's the fight against? Couldn't tell you. We're going to figure that out eventually, though, but we don't know who it is. That already, to me, sounds mighty suspicious. And I know the obvious fight that everybody wants made is the fact that Conor Benn got into the ring with Devin Haney, and Devin Haney was quite rightly barking at him back. So it looks like that is the easiest fight to make. And that's my immediate thought where it went. Was that they're obviously setting up a fight with Devin Haney. But then I started looking at it and they said, okay, if they would have announced the fight, they would have done that. So why wouldn't they announce it? Or at the very least, why wouldn't they talk? Or why wouldn't they, any kind of rumor spreading around? Why it wasn't a fight between Conor Benn and Devin Haney? Why wasn't that put out there? And I started thinking about it. They don't have to make the fight. They really don't. They said, one fight deal, 8 figures, $15 million, one fight deal, and afterwards he can leave and be a free agent. And that in of itself kind of bothers me, at least the wording does. One fight, that's all we're getting out of you, one fight, and you can leave and be a free agent. What if the fight never gets made? Because if you're thinking about it, they don't have to make the fight. They legit took one of the hottest boxing stars right from underneath Eddie Hearn from Matchroom Boxing. They already won the fight. They got one of the hottest stars, get him over to Zuffa Boxing. Guess what? They've already won the battle. Anything afterwards is just extra. Now, keep in mind, if they do make the fight against Devin Haney, guess what? I got to give them some props on that because not only is that going to be a big amount of deal for Zuffa Boxing, it also could have a lot of prestige, and they already could have artificial prestige by saying, hey, we can make it for the Zuffa belt. That's already prestige right there. Devin Haney, decorated boxing star. Conor Benn, one of the hottest to come out of the UK. Guess what? There's already a lot of prestige there. They don't have to, and that's the part that kind of scares me, is the fact that they don't have to. The fact that they haven't had any sort of plan. They just went up to him, brought out the Brinks truck, got Conor Benn right out of Matchroom Boxing, and we're basically left in the air at this point. We don't even know at this point if a fight is going to be made, and that's the part that bothers me. It's the fact that they have so much leverage and so much to do in the world of boxing, and the fact that plans could be pulled like that, friendships, loyalties could be tested all for Brinks trucks like that, and the fact that Zuffa Boxing is now creepily starting to become a massive force in the world of boxing is entirely scary to me. I remember Mauricio Suleiman, when he was asked about the future of Zuffa Boxing, he says, no, I'm not exactly worried about them. They don't have a TV deal. They don't have any sort of massive leverage in the boxing world. Why should I be worried about them? And guess what? They made Terrence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez. Now you have reason to be afraid. Eddie Hearn said, I didn't really push the contract on Conor Benn because I didn't think that was anything to be worried about. Now Conor Benn leaves Matchroom. When are boxing promoters, boxing organizations going to start taking Zuffa Boxing a lot more seriously, at the very least seriously as a threat? Maybe not seriously as an organization, because you can have your feelings about that. But when are you going to start taking them more seriously as a threat when stuff like this keeps happening? When big boxing matches keep being made, and guess what? You're no longer a part of it. Your biggest stars that you have under your contract, guess what? They can leave just like that. Because Brinks trucks get brought back to their own complexes, their own houses. And guess what? Your biggest star, guess what? They're not yours anymore. Because you decided to not take seriously the amount of money, the amount of capital, and the willpower that Zuffa Boxing has. And keep in mind, I don't like Zuffa Boxing as an organization. At least on principle, I don't. But the fact of the matter is, they're more creepily starting to become a legitimate force in the world of boxing. You need to take them more seriously. And I do think, yes, Eddie Hearn does have reason to be feeling backstabbed by somebody like Conor Benn. When again, Eddie Hearn stuck out his reputation for something like Conor Benn, and there's reason to believe that Conor Benn should have reciprocated that loyalty. The fact of the matter is, it didn't. Unfortunately, this is the world of boxing. This is business. And you can put all your loyalty, you can put all your eggs in the basket and say, okay, well, he's not going to betray me. There's loyalty. Well, guess what? There's money to be made here. And they brought out all the money they can for Conor Benn. And a fight's not even made. Every single boxing organization needs to start recognizing Zuffa Boxing as a real threat, or this is going to keep happening again and again and again and again. I guarantee you. I even have scary thoughts that Ryan Garcia might leave Golden Boy, or at least he's probably most likely gonna leave anyway. Or Virgil Ortiz, considering the fact that Virgil Ortiz is still having spats with Oscar De La Hoya behind the scenes. And I have no doubt that thought hasn't creeped out to their head once. Guarantee you. Brinks truck is brought out for Ryan Garcia. Brinks truck is brought out for Virgil Ortiz. They're gonna leave in a heartbeat. I guarantee you that. I guarantee you that. It's a scary thing to think. Maybe there's a lot of speculation. Maybe I'm talking out of my ass. But what do you think about all that?
I don't think you're wrong about the Brinks truck being back, brought out and stuff like that. I completely agree with you on that kind of stuff. But, I don't know, man. I think, first of all, let's address something real quick. The reason they said the whole thing about Conor Benn and maybe a fight never gets made is because Dana White, a lot of you may not be familiar with Dana White because you guys are boxing fans, but Dana White is notorious for holding a fighter when there's one fight left on his contract and holding it over their head. Basically never making the fight, holding them at their will, essentially, because we have a contract. You can't go somewhere else. You can't go, maybe I'll go box over here or go box over there. No. He's notorious for holding those fighters back and basically holding them hostage until either the contract expires, which in a lot of cases it's years and years and years and years, or until they have the fight that Zufo wants to make. And Dana White is definitely the type of dude, especially with the new daddy like Turki Al Sheikh, to have a $15 million petty bet. Now, listen, I'll be honest with you, I'm a little bit more optimistic on that, and I do think that they'll make a fight for Conor Benn, whether it's the Devin Haney fight, which I think is the best case scenario for them, or some other fight. But that being said, I think, listen, if they already backed up the Brinks truck one, what's stopping them from backing it up again and saying, hey, Conor, this worked out for you great this first time. Maybe we do another deal for a little bit longer. So I completely agree on that type of stuff. Same thing with Ryan. I don't doubt Ryan would leave. He's had beef with Oscar De La Hoya quite some time. Virgil Ortiz, I think he would more than likely leave to go with Eddie. He's already been in contact with Eddie to make this fight with Boots. I think that's a more likely scenario, and I think that would be a total grab for Eddie Hearn. But listen, man, the overall thing is, again, we're here to talk about the scenario between Conor Benn and Eddie Hearn, and I think just it's kind of tragic, if I'm being honest with you, man. You should definitely have your boys back. And again, listen, if Eddie Hearn had done something that we're not aware of to bring down Conor Benn or to besmirch him or to whatever, anything to hurt that relationship, I can understand. But as far as we're aware, none of that has happened. As far as we're aware, Eddie Hearn has been a stand-up guy to Conor Benn, especially in the moments when he was down. So I think that Conor Benn owes Eddie Hearn a little bit more respect. He owes him a little bit more loyalty. And unfortunately, just, this, on top of me already not being the biggest fan of Conor Benn, this has a lot of people looking down on him. Money or not, man, listen, there's some things that go deeper than money. Some people may not understand that, but there's some things in my mind that go deeper than money, and I feel like Conor Benn knows that to Eddie Hearn, when Eddie Hearn stood by him for all this time, through all the heat, through all the drama, through going to court, all the stuff that Eddie Hearn stood next to Conor Benn through. So either way, look, man, it's the game. At the end of the day, plenty of people have said it. There's no friends in boxing, and unfortunately, Conor Benn proved the case to a T. So we'll keep an eye on the situation. We'll see what happens. It'll be interesting to see if a fight does get made. Again, Devin Haney's the number one guy that he should have faced, and they'd probably make some of their income back on that fight. But we'll see, man. We'll see. And with that, make sure to like, comment, hate, subscribe, DM us about the bullshit, and
Until next time, get rest and stay blessed. We'll see you on the next one.